Hi, how are you? Welcome again to Cloud Hosting Chapter FIWARE courses. Regarding, in this case, Cloud Portal Generic Enabler, Self-Service Interfaces Generic Enabler. This is the third lesson of this course, in which I'm going to show you probably the most important thing that you can do using this Cloud Portal user interface, that is launching an instance, okay, a virtual machine. In order to do so, you need to understand some steps that are needed not only to launch the virtual machine, but also to be able to connect to it using the command line, the SSH tool. Okay, you need to create a key pair. You need to configure the security rules inside the security group, and you need to assign a public IP to expose the instance to the internet. So what you need to understand is that a key pair is, as you probably already know, a key that allows you to access the virtual machine. Of course, if not, everyone would be able to access it. A security group is a set of rules that you define in form of ports, and are the ports that will be open, that will be exposed from the virtual machine, from the instance. A floating IP is the public IP that will be accessible from the internet, and once everything is configured and the instance is correctly launched, you will be able to connect to it using SSH and also an VNC console. Okay. If you, I'm going to perform the demo using a Unix command line, but if you are using Windows, of course you can also connect to the instance, but you have to convert the key pair that is by default in PEM format to PPK format, that is the format that this PuTTY tool understands. Okay. So I'm going to switch to my web browser now in order to show you how to proceed in the graphical user interface. Okay. So the first thing that we need to do is to create that key pair. In order to do so, I go to this tab, to this option, security option, specifically to the key pairs tab that is here in the right side. I have to create a new key pair, and in order to do so, I have to set a name, FIWARE course, for instance. Okay. Now I can download the file that is generated, and it's important to download it now and store in the disk of my computer, because after this moment I will not be able to download again the file due to security reasons. Okay, so if I download it here in the terminal, I can see that the key pair is correctly downloaded. Okay. Well, the next step is to create a security group in order to open the 22 port. That is the port that I will need to open in order to use the SSH protocol. In order to do so, I have to go to this security groups tab. I have here a default security group, but I will going to create a new one, that is FIWARE security group, and here a description. Okay, lesson 3 security group, for instance. Okay. So now this new security group will appear here, and clicking with the right button I can edit the rules. Okay, in order to access using this protocol remotely, I have to add the TCP/22 port. Once the rule is correctly added, the security group is correctly configured. Okay, so I have the two first things, and the final one is to allocate a new public IP. Here I have to use this pool. There are different pools regarding the federation and so on, in this case the public one. Okay, and right now the IP is correctly allocated. Once the virtual machine is instantiated, is launched, I have to come back again to this tab in order to assign this floating IP to the specific instance. But now is the moment of start the virtual machine. So here in launch new instance, the Cloud Portal redirects me to the images panel, in which I can find the different base images that FIWARE is offering me. Okay, now I'm going to use an Ubuntu 14 image, that is this one. Okay, so if I click in launch, I have to fill some configuration, the instance name, FIWARE course, for instance, the flavor, that is the different capabilities, the different configuration that I can set. As you can see here, the tiny one have only a virtual CPU, 1 GB of disk, and 500 megabytes of RAM. And in this case, I'm going to select the small one that has more disk than the previous one. Here in this panel, I can see the quotas, that are the maximum capabilities that I can add to the virtual machine. Okay, and here I can select if I want one or more virtual machine. Okay, clicking in next step here, I have to select the key pair that I want to assign to the virtual machine. In this case is this one, that is the one that I've just created, and also a security group, that is the one that I have also just created. If I have not any security group created, I can of course add a new one here. Okay, so clicking in next, here I can select to which node, to which network I want to assign this, to link this virtual machine. Okay, I'm not going to enter now in details, because we have a specific course in which I will show you, or we will show you, the details of this step. Okay, this is an option if you want to introduce here a custom script, but it's again an advanced task. And here I have the summary of the instance that I'm going to create. This is the name, it's based on an Ubuntu image with a small flavor, one instance, and here the key pair and the security groups. And finally I have here some instructions of how to connect. Okay, I launch the instance, and as you can see here, it's in building state and now spawning and so on. If I enter in the details of the virtual machine, here I can see a summary of the specification of this instance, and this is also an important part in which the portal explains me how to connect using the SSH client. Okay, he said me that right now I have not a floating IP associated to the instance, so what I need to do now is to associate this floating IP in order to be able to connect. So coming back to security, this is the floating IP that I just created, and now I have to associate it to the FIWARE course instance that I have created. If I associate it, successfully associated, I can see here the results of the action, and if I go again to the instance, I can see here that right now I have the fixed IP and also the floating IP. And again, going to connection, he now shows me that using a terminal I can follow these steps in order to connect. So I have to copy this line in the terminal, that is basically SSH. Here I have to specify the key pair, and finally the user and the public IP, that is the one that I have just associated, this one. Okay. Yes, I forgot to do a thing, that is, as you can see here, in the third step, to modify the permissions of the key pair, okay, because he has not the permissions that we need to access, okay. And once the permissions are correctly configured, I can finally access the virtual machine, okay. Now, as you can see here, I'm already connected to the virtual machine. No, because I have put root, and sorry, I have to use not root but Ubuntu username. Okay. In this case, finally yes. Okay. So right now I'm in I'm connected to the virtual machine, and here I can start working as you do normally in an Ubuntu terminal. Okay. So you have your first FIWARE instance deployed and accessible from the internet. That's all in this third lesson, and see you in the next one. Many thanks. Bye.